I'm so sorry. Okay. I just got right into it. So so what investing really is, guys, investing is learning how to make your money work for you. And so again, I was inspired today, this morning, when a follower of mine showed that she had a certificate which she had bought as a Christmas gift for her grandson, to give him some ownership in a company. And the other day, I actually posted a something on my Facebook account about Nike. And let me see if I can find it real quick, because I thought it was very interesting. I want to talk about this, and I want to talk about the response that many of us got. And so it talked about the equity market. It said that back in 1985, if someone had invested $5,000 into Nike, in other words, bought Nike stock in 1985, basically that was 30 years ago, it would now be worth over 6.5 million. That $5,000 would now be worth over 6.5 million, and you would be getting an annual shareholder check or a dividend check every year of $66,000. So here's my question, guys: how comfortably could you be living right now for $66,000 a month? I mean, not a month, a year, annually. Is that a comfortable living wage for you? $66,000 a year. Now, when we talk about the $66,000, we also have to understand that this is money that's making money. What does that mean? Well, that means that you actually pay less taxes on the $66,000 than you do on your $66,000 annual salary that you might get from your job, because your job is ordinary income, and this $66,000 is capital gains. It's not ordinary income, and it's taxed less. And so when you understand that, then you start to see why the rich keep getting richer. Because even though they have more money than us, they're making their money in different ways, and they're paying less taxes, which means that they're keeping more of their money off of the large sums that they're making. So you want to learn how to make your money work for you. And so when I posted this, what I found interesting, and not let me say I found it interesting, but it did kind of pique my interest, because the response was that, man, I wish someone had did this for me back in 1985. Thanks for the props. I wish someone had invested for me back in 1985. And so I say to myself, well, that's one way to respond, to say that I wish someone had done that for me, and I missed an opportunity. But then I wonder, if we really wish that someone had done that for us, are we willing to do that for our kids? Are we willing to do it for our kids? Because we can wish all day, and that really won't make a difference. Now we know that's something that we missed, an opportunity that was missed. But it doesn't necessarily mean that there's no more opportunities. It's just a matter of, are we going to now learn and capitalize off new opportunities, so that our children won't have to say to us, oh, mom, oh, dad, I wish you would have done that for me. I wish that you would have invested. I wish you would have taught me about investing at an early age. So I think this is really the piece that really pricks me. Even though I don't have kids, I just have a heart for children. And I was saying to myself that I didn't want to be a person that would be walking around when I was 40, 50, 60 years old saying, I wish, I wish, I wish. And I don't want my kids, if I ever have any, to be walking around at 20, 30, 40 years old saying, I wish, I wish, I wish. Because we have an opportunity now to learn and to do something about what we learn. I say that there's 3 stages to education. I think that first you have to become aware. So you need to understand that, hey, this is a way that people are. I don't think that's true. I don't think that when you know better, you do better. I think a lot of people know better and they still don't do better. And we can see that across the world. Now, knowing is a first step, right? So there's the awareness piece, right? Knowing that there is a market, there is a place that you could invest your money and you can get a return, and that it can appreciate, that there is an opportunity there. Being aware of the opportunities that are around. Many of us don't know about the opportunities because we don't seek, and it says seek and you shall find. So many of us haven't really looked into investing, have never heard about investing, so we wouldn't know about investing. So yes, so now some of us know about investing, but even a lot of us that still know about investing still aren't investing. So that's why I say that when you know better, you do better. So when you know better, you do better. I don't think that's true. I think many of us know, and I know plenty of people that follow me know about, oh, okay, he's investing, and they always hit me up and ask me about it, but they still never do anything about it. So knowing is great. Knowing is half the battle, as G.I. Joe would say. And I'm glad I'm talking about G.I. Joe because that was my childhood cartoon. But then after you become aware of something, then I think the next piece is to become educated about that which you are aware of. You become aware that there's this opportunity, that there's something out there that I don't know about, that I could learn more about. And then you have to decide to become educated about it, to learn about it. Once you become learned, once you become educated about it, then there's implementation. That's when you actually go and do what you learn. That's where the wisdom comes in. You practice what you preach. You practice what you have learned. You implement what it is that you learn. And so I think the doing is the other half. You know, right, great. That's half the battle. But now you have to apply what you know, which is the wisdom. And so we can look back at 30 years ago of 1985 and say, man, now in 2016, I know, and I wish I could have applied it back then, and I would have over $6.5 million right now. I have $66,000 that are coming in annually. I probably wouldn't have to work anymore, or I could do what I wanted to do because someone invested $5,000 or even $500 into this wonderful, great company for me and put me in a great position to have options when 30 years later, whenever that is, whether I'm 30, whether I'm 40, whatever. So today I'm like, man, some people are taking action and they're doing something for their kids now that they are aware and now that they become educated about it. And so we just had a comment said investing requires patience and discipline. Well, here's another reason why I'm talking about investing for your kids, because your kids have time on their side. They don't have to worry about being disciplined or being patient because until they turn 18, they can't do anything with the money anyway. It just sits there and grows and grows and grows or does whatever it's going to do. But what I'm saying is at least give them the opportunity and at least put them in a position where they can reap some of these benefits from these wonderful, great companies that you're going to buy and support anyway. We can debate on which companies to invest in and all that. And that's not something I wish to do. I don't wish to debate on that. What I'm saying is do something. Don't just know and not do. Don't just look at it and say, oh, okay, that's for someone else. Investing is for everyone. It's now made available to whomever wants to take advantage of it. That's right, Nike, just do it. Because of the advent of the internet, we don't have to go to New York anymore. We don't have to go to Chicago. We don't have to go to Wall Street to be a part of Wall Street. And if you think about Wall Street, they literally are running the country. We bailed out the banks. We bailed out the automobile industry and people bailing out real estate. All of this stuff, everything that you see, it has some tie to the market. It has some tie to the stock market. And there's ways that you can make money or you can make your money grow by finding a way to invest whatever way that you see fit. So I look at this and I say, man, $6.5 million later, and I wonder if we still don't have a clue. I wonder if we still are, as we think about getting into the Christmas spirit and getting into the holidays right now, how many of us, I don't know who has kids and who doesn't. But if you do have children, have you even thought about doing something different this Christmas? Have you even thought about taking some of that money that you were going to spend to put a smile on their face now and use some of it to put a smile on their face when they're 21 by doing something now, doing something different? Because most of what we're going to buy right now for our 5-year-old, our 6-year-old, our 10-year-old, they're not going to have it in a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now. Most of the time, I would say that the gifts aren't really the memory. That's not what people remember. People really remember the time that's spent around the holidays more so than the gifts that they get, unless it was something very, very emotional or emotionally driven. But are we going to do something different this year? You're buying your son more stocks and toys from Dollar Store, and he loves it. Okay. So when you say more stock, you buying him some Dollar Store stock or something like that, like the Dollar Tree, Dollar General, something like that. So doing a combination of both, I think is it's something to consider, guys. It's something that Again, we can say that I wish that someone had done it for me, but then we can turn around and say, am I going to do it for someone else? Now, here's the cool thing about investing for kids. They don't have to be your kids. If you have a godson, a goddaughter, a niece, a nephew, you could do this. You can implement. You can become their um, investing consultant, their liaison, because it's a custodial account. Anyone can open a custodial account for anyone as long as they have the proper information to do it. Oh, different stocks. That's cool, man. So you trying, you obviously you're aware of the market and you're starting at a young age and putting them into a good position. Um, oh wow, fantastic! Getting some EE bonds, fantastic, awesome. And so that's a good thing. So the EE bonds, the savings bonds, that was something that I believe many of us may have experienced. Our grandparents would get us some savings bonds and put them into, get them for us. Now you don't have to have a brokerage account to get a savings bond, but that's cool. Um, um, and so that's one way. That's one form of investing. Obviously, it gets more of a return that is on a schedule, so you know exactly what you'll have when. It's pretty much guaranteed. That's a good way to go. Very safe. Grow at a very, very slow pace. But that's a good way to go. That's something that's better than nothing. Um, but today I really want to talk about the whole stock market, man. We talked about Nike. We got Disney, same thing. Someone would have bought Disney, back 30 years ago, where they would be now. But now we can start thinking about, man, what can I invest in now that I can say 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now, where will I be? Or where will my children be when they get ready to go to college or make these big decisions in life? Where will the youth that are in my life, where will they be if we really gave them a head start? Um, uh, we can say all day that we want them to have better than we had, but then we got to ask ourselves, am I willing to do something different than what was done for me if it wasn't done for you? I think that's the biggest difference, is that we progress, but yet it seems as though we keep going through the same cycles generation after generation, because we're not really taking heed or really seeking new ways of doing things. Seeking, you shall find. Become aware, become educated, and implement. So how do you buy stocks or invest for your children? So we got some people that have already done it or are already aware. So I just wanted to kind of go through that, talk through that, and hopefully just get your attention and get you to think differently. That's what that's kind of what it's about. So in order to invest in the stock market, you have to have a brokerage account. Now that's very interesting because that's one of the accounts that's not talked about in economics. It's not talked about in banking. You hear about the checking account and the savings account, but for some reason the brokerage account is just like, oh, that's only, that's not normal. It's abnormal to have a brokerage account, but it's the one account that you really need in order to be a part of this wonderful thing called the stock market, to be a part of all of this growth, be a part of all this appreciation, to be a part of all these dividend checks that people are getting that have access to it. So you need a brokerage account. Now, a brokerage account is nothing more than a checking account or a savings account. You get one the same way, fill out the same type of paperwork. It's just housed with different companies. And we've heard of them: Charles Schwab, Fidelity, Vanguard. If you got an IRA or a 401k, you have access to the market. You may not have a self-directed brokerage account, but you are attached to the market and have some type of access to a brokerage account. But the brokerage account, in this case, E-Trade, TD Ameritrade, yeah, Schwab. In this case, it's going to be owned by the controller or the custodian, which will be the typically it'll be the guardian, or it's going to be the person that's going to control the account. In other words, the person that's over 21 that's going to open up this account in their name. But what they're going to do is they're going to open up a custodial account where they're going to use the social and the name of the person that they're opening it up for, and they would actually control the account, but then it would be for the person that they're opening it up for. So in other words, the adult would make the transactions, they would get the statements and things like that, but it will be for the custodian. It's almost like a it's almost like a what's that word I'm looking for? Beneficiary. It's almost like a beneficiary. Like it's going to benefit the custodian, and they would have access to everything once they turn, 18 or 21, depending on. I think it's 18, but they would have control of the money once they turn 18. So it's almost like a beneficiary. It's almost like a trust account. It's not called that. It's called a custodial account, but it works in the very same manner. It's set up for the custodian, and they would have access to that once they reach a certain age, and then they would be able to take control of the money that is there. Now, of course, if you do something like that, there's a couple of different ways to do it, right? You can say, well, hey, I'm gonna open this up for someone, and I'm not gonna let them know. And in that way, when they do turn of age, maybe they turn a teen, they become a teenager. Once they begin to learn about money, you can start to expose them some of the things, and then maybe give them that big gift on their graduation day or something. Maybe that's the thing. I don't know. Because people are graduating at 17, 18 years old. That could be one way to do it. You say, hey, I'm not going to let them know. I don't want them to know they got money. I want them to keep pressing forward through school and doing everything they got to go. And then this will be, quote unquote, a gift to them after they've shown that they are, can handle themselves. But then another way is to kind of bring hints in and to bring some education in along the way and start to talk to them about the things that they enjoy, start to talk to them about, places they like to shop, start to talk to them about things that they like to use and buy. Then that way you can get an idea of, maybe some places that they would want to invest if they had the option. Another way is really just talk to them about it. Just say, hey, we're going to start this thing. I'm doing something different. We want to put you in the best situation, moving forward or as you get older. We want to start to teach you about money and learn how this whole capitalistic society works. And you can take that approach. I don't think any of them are wrong, but I think the more that you let the children know, the better off they'll be, because children, they love to learn. And if it's something that no one has ever taught them, they're probably going to feel the same way that I would feel. It's like, man, I wish someone would have taught me. Like, I don't see how teaching someone about money could be a bad thing. I don't see how teaching someone about investing could be a bad thing. I don't understand why it's not taught more, but I don't really concern myself with why no more. I just do it. I just go and teach people, just like I'm doing right now. I don't care about the whys anymore. I just do something. I don't just know it. I do something about it, and I help other people to understand it and hopefully apply it in their life. And I hope that you would do the same thing too, because it is that important. For someone who doesn't think that money is important, try living without it. I'm saying again, if you don't think that money is important, try living without it. It is very important. I think it is one of the most important topics to understand, one of the most important life lessons or life skills to learn in the 21st century. Money management, how it grows, how it works, everything that has to do with the banking system. Because once you understand it, and once you understand interest, and once you understand compounding, once you understand growth, then you can make it work for you. And then it can help you to do some of the things that you may want to do in life. It gives you options. He said it right. Financial education is critical in a capitalistic society. Now, here's the interesting thing, that we all can say that. We all know that we all can agree that it's true, but then we can also see that our society doesn't see it as critical because we don't invest our money into making sure that everyone is financially educated. There may be reasons for that. It may be because the rich want to stay rich and they want to keep the poor poor. It could be a lot of reasons for that. But we can make a difference in our own families. We can make a difference in the youth that are around us. We can make a difference in their lives so that this critical piece that needs to be taught and learned in the capitalistic society can be taught and learned, and we can raise children in the way in which they should go, and they will not depart from it. So you want to get your brokerage account. If you don't have a brokerage account, this is going to be a good place for you to learn how to open one up, not only just for them, but maybe for yourself. Because you can start to put yourself into the game of investing, opening up doors and windows of opportunity for you to grow your portfolio, to grow your retirement account. And if you don't know, if you are saving for retirement. You can't really save your way to retirement. But if you are investing into a retirement account, you are participating in the stock market. And that's a misnomer. People don't even know that. Like, you got an IRA, you got a 401k, you got, a CD, you are investing in the stock market. So if you're already more than likely already doing something, why not learn everything you can about it so that you can make the best choices, make the best impact, and make that big impact in your own finances, because now you know and understand what you're doing. So that's the journey that I took. As I began to learn about money, I said, man, this is crazy that I'm just not learning about this, that no one's ever had this conversation with me. No one has ever taught me this. But it's never too late to learn. And once you learn, then you can go and teach, and you can teach other people. So you want to get your brokerage account. You want to set it up to as a custodial account for your child. And then you want to save up some money, and invest into some company that you believe in, you believe strongly in, and hopefully you believe that they'll be here for the next 30 years. That's the number one thing. Think about a company that's going to be here for 30 years. That you have no doubt about in 30 years from now, when it comes down to 20,045, they're going to still be up and running. I would say that that's one of the major keys if you want to look at this same example that we shared about Nike into whatever company that you may look to invest in for the youth that are in your life, so that as they get older, that company will still be relevant in their life. Now we can't tell the future. We don't know what may go under at any point in time, but we have a pretty good idea of what is up and coming, and we have a pretty good idea of what is established. And you can just pretty much look in the Dow Jones Industrial Average and see what's kind of been established and is going to probably still be around. It's still serving needs, providing services to the public and they've got a brand that's almost untouchable. Those are just some things that are probably going to still be around, 30 years from now. So, so that was that. So we talked about Nike, and really just again, the whole point of tonight is to really, hopefully to kind of change the philosophy a little bit, to kind of change the philosophy a little bit as it relates to what you're going to do for this holiday, what you might do for tax season. Because if you've never been presented with the information, then you're probably going to do whatever it is that you've been doing before. But hopefully this will prompt you to think a little bit differently about some of that bonus money that comes in. Think of a little bit different about some of that refund that might come back, so that you can really start to make a huge impact with the capital that comes into your hand. You can grow your capital. You can do it from where you are. You can do it from the job that you have if you learn how to spend less than you earn. And you can really set a child up for options. That's the name of the game, options. Some kids don't want to go to college. Some kids want to start a business right at the top, right when they get out of school. They should have that option if they want it. Because at the end of the day, really, like, what are we doing, right? We're teaching our children how to, and there's nothing wrong with this, but we're teaching our children how to get good grades, to go to school, hopefully get a scholarship. If they don't get that scholarship, to borrow their way to success. That's pretty much what the American dream is. Borrow your way to success and then pay it all back later on. Well, everyone doesn't operate in that same mode. And we don't have to, right? We don't have to, borrow $200,000 and get through school and then spend the next 20, 30 years of our life trying to pay that back. Because here's the deal, guys. As long as you are in debt, you don't own whatever it is that you think you own. You don't own your house until it's paid off. You don't own your car until it's paid off. You don't own that couch until it's paid off. And you think that you own something until they come and tell you that, hey, you didn't pay this month, give it back. We can change that, man. We can put them into a position by living debt free. You want to get to a place that you live in debt free, but by helping them to never have to rely on debt. And how do you do that? Well, we help them to not have to rely on debt by teaching them about asset building, teaching them about wealth creation, teaching them about appreciation. And we can do that right from Christmas. We can decide that, hey, I'm going to buy this for you, young child. You've been so great. And whatever it is that I buy, I want you to understand that it's not going to be whatever it is going to be worth a year from now. But I can also get you this And I can teach you how this can grow and become more valuable over time. There are some things that are going to be less valuable over time, some things that are going to be more valuable over time from a fiscal standpoint. Now, I'm not talking about emotional standpoint. I'm not talking about how it is, how someone really, really likes something that makes them happy or whatever the case may be. All I'm saying is, are we teaching our children about asset building? Are we teaching them about wealth creation? And are we teaching them about appreciation? Are we teaching them about growth? Or are we really, in essence, teaching them the opposite about liabilities, about debt? Like, you don't really have to learn. I mean, it's good to understand and know about debt, but you don't have to live in it. But we basically are forcing people to live in it because we don't teach them anything differently. That's a pretty big statement. We're forcing them to live in this way because we're not teaching them anything different. Now we know that our society, it I mean, at the end of the day, it's a debt country. I mean, but just because the country is in debt don't mean that you have to be. Just because the country is in debt doesn't mean that you have to be. I mean, what we have, probably $20 trillion deficit now. Country is just, keep expanding the budget. I definitely don't want the government teaching my children. But that's instantly what most of us are doing. We're putting them into the public school system and letting the public school teach our children. And all I'm saying is that there are some things that we can teach our children, but we first must learn it ourselves in order to convey the message properly. And will we do that? Will we take the moment to learn it so that there won't have to be any more I wish statements? I wish. We can change that now. So, so think about some companies that are huge, that'll be around for a while, that you have no doubt in your mind. I call them pillars. I call them no-brainers, that your children might be interested in, so that they could take an interest in this particular company. They could feel proud to be an owner of something. I mean, the reality is your child can own something as soon as they get a Social Security number. The problem is we'll let them own a phone bill, but we won't let them own Apple. I mean, how many people have heard about parents putting bills in the child's name? That's the craziest thing. And I mean, I understand sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do or whatever, but can't we start to put things of value in their name so that when it comes time for them to get ready to do something, they already got some assets, and then they look at their portfolio and they go to get that first car and they see that they got these assets. I mean, how does it feel when you go and fill out an application and they ask you in that column, it says other assets, and you have nothing to put there? And then how does it feel when you see that and you're like, I don't even know what an asset is? That's what I'm talking about, man. Like this stock ownership is an asset. It's something that they actually do own. It's not something that they owe. It's something that they own. And we can put them in that position at an early age. Warren Buffett started investing when he was 11 years old. From stocks to businesses and all things like that. We see where Warren Buffett is 80 years later, because he's been doing this for so long, but he's been doing it since he was 11 years old. And I'm just saying, let's give our kids a head start. Let's take some of the money that we have this Christmas and get them a gift that'll keep on giving. And we looked at, there's this company called Spark Gift. Spark Gift. I'm going to see if I can put it in the comments below. What Spark Gift is Spark Gift. What that is, they run a service where they will get you, they'll get gifts for, you can buy investments through them, and they'll be partnered with this company called Folio Investing. And I'm gonna put the ticker down here, or I'm gonna put the website down here at the bottom. And basically what it is, it's a service where you can get the gift for your child. You can start as low as $20, and it'll get your child a certificate, and it'll get them some stock ownership. That's very, I think that's very powerful, because it'll be a statement to your child that you can put into their memory books. You can put into some type of memoir. You can frame it and you put it on the wall and say, hey, Bobby, you are now the proud owner of some of XYZ company. And they can see their name, and they can see their ownership. They can see the icon or the symbol of the company that they own. And you can begin to have that conversation with them about the difference between ownership and owning something and consuming something. Because as a child, all you think about is consuming. Like you just want more and more and more, whatever. You want like candy, you want more of it. You want to consume it, you want to consume it. Well, what if what if this is your favorite candy, but now you own the candy store. Now you own the manufacturer of that candy. Now you can have that conversation about the difference between being an owner and being a consumer, and they can see it. It's a visual for them that you can hang right over the fireplace, that you can put on the wall, that you can put over the top of their bed, so that every morning they wake up, they can feel great about being an owner, even if they don't fully understand it. But then what does that do, man? That gets them into the conversation of having it with their friends at school. Like, I'm the owner of whatever, Apple. I'm the owner, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that iPad that you got or that iPhone that you get, yeah, that's going to put money in my wallet. That's going to put money into my future. That's going to pay for my, my college education. Because you got to think about, man, 20 years from now, when they get ready to make that decision for college and they got some assets, they get ready to buy that first car and they got some assets, and they get ready to buy that first home and they got some assets. Whew. I feel good, guys, man. I hope that this has been a blessing. I hope that for those that are maybe watching this at a later time, that you got your mind shifting. Wealth is a mindset. We begin in the mind to begin to think about wealth, and for many of us, this is a new territory. For many of us, it just wasn't expressed. We didn't have a platform like Blab. We didn't have the parents in our life that were educated about this level of finance, this level of money. And it's okay, because it's no more time for our wish. we can change that today. So I've got a couple open seats. If anybody wants to jump in, has anything they like to say, you can always ask in the comments below. But it's really an easy process, investing for your kids. I really wanted to talk about why you should do it, or why you should consider doing it. I think I did a good job of explaining that. Really wanted to go through the basic steps of how to do it. Obviously, to open a brokerage account, and then you need the child's information as far as the social, in order to open a custodial account for that child, so that whatever transactions that take place with buying and owning stock, it'll be for that child when they become of age. Look at companies that are long-term, that'll be here 20 years from now, that you are confident about, that'll be here, that'll continue to grow and produce. And hopefully had a conversation with the child as well, to make them aware of the power of owning something. So I've got a couple open seats. I feel like, I know I'm not talking to myself, but if I'm talking to myself, I'm gonna run out of stuff to say, because I've already said everything that was on my mind. So if you got anything to share, if you want to jump into a seat, you can. If you want to, make some comments on the side. If you got a question, you can do that as well. I really just wanted to do this for you guys. I was inspired today. It feels real good when you preach a message and then you see people that are following you go out and act on that message. And that's what happened this morning. I've been preaching this message for a little while, and someone actually went out and did it, showed the stock certificate and everything, and it just lit me on fire. Like, man, when you are a part of someone else's success, it just feels real good. And I feel like I'm a part of little man's success. He don't even know. He's probably not gonna even know who I am, but I feel like I'm a part of it because his guardian decided to take some advice from me and do something for him, and that is just I don't know. It stirs me. It makes me want to do more. Makes me want to do more things like this. Makes me want to continue to share, educate, to teach. Now, as an adult, if you are, it's now the end of December. We're moving into January. So it's now time to do what we call reallocations. It's now time to really look at your retirement, your portfolio, and see where you are and make some adjustments if necessary. And I actually do have a service called the Retirement Review, which I help you do that. So if you are a person that really doesn't understand this whole thing called the stock market, you really looked at your 401k and just blindly picked some stuff, and you don't know how it's performing, you don't know what you can do to make it perform better, then reach out to me, set up an appointment. And let's go through it together so that you can make sure that your 2016 is prosperous. There's some things that are happening in the market that you need to be aware of that could influence your decisions. And most people, they're not aware of the market, so they're not really making decisions. They're just saying, hey, I know I should invest. I'm gonna put my 6% in, and I'm just gonna hope for a better day. And I just want to tell you, hope is great, but strategy is better. Hope is great, but strategy is better. Do you have a strategy for your 401k? Do you have a strategy for your IRA? Do you have a strategy for your retirement? Or are you just hoping that when you can become 65, that you'll have enough money? If you don't have a strategy, you know, get a strategy. And if you need help with a strategy, that's what I'm here for. So you can reach out to me, set up an appointment for a retirement review. There's plenty of people that's on the call with us tonight that have had one already, and they can share their experience with you with changing their life and changing their financial mindset, and really gives you hope. When you have a strategy, that really gives you hope because you can really start to see the difference. You're like, oh man, this really does make a difference. Like last year I got 2%, this year I got 6%. Oh, there was something that happened that was different. Was it luck? I don't think so. It's a strategy. Do you have a strategy? So that's kind of what we're talking about. I guess I could put my you guys got any questions for me? I you know, right now I'm kind of through with my presentation. I just wanted to share that with you guys. I wanted to share my inspiration with you guys, and hopefully it inspire you. I'll leave my Facebook handle in the comments below. This is a place where you can find me if you're saying that, hey, I would like to connect with you, Evan. Of course, you can connect with me on Twitter as well. You can send me a direct message or whatever the case may be. And if you need that retirement review, we can do that, get that set up. It takes about 90 minutes. It's just a matter of us looking at where you currently stand, talking about where you want to be, and then mapping out what we need to do to get there. And obviously making some recommendations based upon your risk profile. In other words, your tolerance. The younger that you are, probably the more risky you're going to be. And the older that you get, the more conservative that you want to be if you have been following a plan up until this point. Most of us haven't, because we didn't know that there was a plan that was revolving around our retirement. Why am I talking about this? Because it's just as important as it is to invest in your kids. It's just as important to invest into your own future. And many of us are already doing that, but we don't know what we're doing. And because we don't know what we're doing, we don't know what results to expect. And because we don't know what results to expect, anything is okay. And that's not okay. We can't say that anything is okay and it's not okay, because there is more, there's better, there's greater that's available. So why not go for the greater? Why not put ourselves in a position that at least at the end of the day, now I know. And someone said earlier that, when you know better, you do better, right? Well, if you put yourself in a position so at least you can say, now I know, then that's half the battle. But then that's a very empowering part of the battle, right? Because now knowledge, it's like, man, it's enlightening. It's like, man, I didn't know all of this, but now I know. And that is the great part about learning. So put yourself in position that you can say, now I know, and then you can make some changes and differences so that you can you can learn how to fish. You don't have to be, the point of why I do the retirement review isn't, obviously I want you to come back. I want to have a customer for life. But the reality is I want to empower you to be able to do it for yourself, just in case I'm no longer around. And I think that's the difference with my service versus any other. I want to make sure that you're educated and empowered to do it yourself. And if you ever just want an overview of what decision that you made, then I'm there available for you while I'm still here on this earth. So what we talked about today again was investing for your kids, how to do that. Again, just to review, we want to make sure that we open a brokerage account. Again, the brokerage account is something that's not talked about in public school. You got to talk about the checking account and the savings account, where the brokerage account is what gives you access into the investing world. You want to open this up with the child's information. Again, you don't have to be the child's parent to do this. You can be anybody. As long as you're over 18 or 21, you got some youth in your life that you're concerned about and that you want to make a deposit or investment into their future, you can do that. We talked about this whole Nike thing where, in 1985, if someone had invested $5,000 into Nike, 30 years later today, it would be worth over $6.5 million. And what I'm saying, guys, is will you do that for someone else or do it for yourself? Where 30 years from now, you can say, I'm glad that I planted that seed back in 2015. I'm glad I planted that seed into my child's life in 2015. So now they're living a life full of options. So after you get that brokerage account set up and you convert it into a custodial account, that means it's designated for that child so that when they become age, they can control that money. You obviously want to find a company that it meshes with your child. Hopefully, they can be interested in, so that you can start to have those conversations. But you want to think long term. What companies is it on your watch list, or what companies that you're looking into do you think are going to be here 20 years from now, 30 years from now? I'm not talking about how much they're going to grow and how much dividends they're going to pay. I'm just talking about they're going to be here. Once you figure out once you decide what you think is going to be here, then you can kind of dwindle it down from there. But I think finding something that your children are interested in would go a long way, because that way that'll make the conversation that much easier. If you start talking about candy and they own some of the candy company, you can always refer back to that. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and buy those Jolly Ranchers instead of those Now Laters, because you own some of those Jolly Ranchers. And because you own this company, we want to invest back into the company. So we want to support ourselves because we're owners of the Jolly Rancher company. Does that make sense? Nobody gave me no props for that. I've been doing fairly well. I only got like 126 props. I feel pretty bad about this. I feel like I'm not doing a good job. Oh, thank you. Right? So you want to have that conversation with the child. You want to think long term for the child, man. You want to put them into the same position that we know could have been for us if someone had done it for us. So we're saying we want to get ourselves to a position for not only ourselves, but for our children, for our families, for the people that we love, that we can no longer say, I wish. It'll no longer be I wish I had. It's going to be that I'm glad that I did. Let me repeat that again. It's no longer going to be I wish that I had. It's going to be that I'm glad that I did. Put yourself in that position. And so we talked about the investing for the children, how to do that, how to set them up for success. And then obviously you want to start to have that conversation with them about the difference between being an owner and being a consumer. Consuming is I'm going to eat all the candy in the store and I'm going to get as much as I can. Ownership says that, hey, I'm going to play a part in all of this that I'm consuming. I'm going to start to bring some of that back into my house because I'm going to own the companies that I consume. So you want to have that conversation so they can start to see the difference. And what does that mean? And I put it like this, guys. I know that we love sports, right? And you know, right now, LeBron James or Steph Curry or whoever it is that you watch, they're great. They're wonderful to watch, and they probably make a lot of money. But I always say this when I teach the children about money. I say, well, who do you think makes more money? Do you think the person who makes more money is the person who dribbles the ball or the person who cuts the check? The person who dribbles the ball or the person who cuts the check? See, the person that you don't see, the person that's cutting the check, the owner of the team, is the one that's making more money than the people that's on the court. You never see them though. You know what I mean? You see Michael Jordan as an owner. You see some of these other, you see some of them, but most of them you don't even know who they are. But it's the owners that really make that much more money, substantially more money than the players. But we highlight the players because those are the ones that we see. And so that's another piece of that puzzle that we want to start to teach our children. Be the producer, not the actor. Be the judge, not the lawyer. Oh, why did I say that, right? So a lot of people want to be a lawyer, right? Well, LeBron James is working on Wealthy too now. He's a shrewd businessman as well. So he owns some other things. But yeah, that's the gist of it, right? That's the gist of it. I tell them that a lawyer, right? Yeah, it's great. You'll make a living, you'll make money, but what a judge, they have a place for life. They get paid for life. You get paid while you have a job, while you have a contract, while you have someone to defend or someone to prosecute, but they get paid for life. So why not aspire to be the judge versus just being a lawyer? It's another level of thinking. And so as he's talking about here, he said, a level of thinking between rich and wealthy. Wealthy is streams of income. Rich is just a check. You can get a check and go through it, but wealthy is you've got way, way more coming in into your house. Floyd Mayweather, I don't even want to talk about that. but I would say that he's wealthy. He's probably got a lot of different brands and things like that. A lot of stuff that he owns. He does a lot of to me, does a lot of things that are suspect with his money. I wonder if he's going to be the next Mike Tyson or Evander Holyfield. He's, made a lot of money, but ended up being broke. But I think that he makes some pretty shrewd decisions. He keep hanging around with Warren Buffett, he'll be just fine. But that is the conversation, guys. We want to have with our kids. And then again, if you are in that position now, as we get to the end of the year, and you're like, okay, it's time for me to look at my allocation. It's time for me to look at my retirement. It's time for me to make sure that I'm set up properly. Then we have the retirement review, which is something that I offer. It's a one-on-one consultation. It's 90 minutes long, and I make sure that you are educated and empowered to make sure that your 2016 retirement portfolio is set up correctly for you to maximize based upon your risk assessment and based upon your financial goals. I've left my Facebook handle, my Twitter handle is above my name somewhere, so you can find a way to reach out to me. You can find a way to find me if you're interested in that as well. So anybody got any questions for me? It's 8:51 now. I'm a little parched. Anybody want to jump into a seat? Got anything to add, share, or say? Randy. Yes, sir. Hey, Randy, how you doing?
I'm okay. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for joining.
Absolutely. I was making some comments. I'm DWSN79. So, hey, this was a great conversation. I think it's so important, as you mentioned, is obviously I have 2 kids, and in fact, it's sort of it's interesting because it's ironic that I've been thinking about that too. I have young kids, and I do some investing, and I'm definitely going to open that custodial brokerage account and invest in those companies that you mentioned that will maybe be around the next 20 to 30, 40 years from now. Obviously, so I think. But one question that I do have for you is, what are some or what resources or tools or books or what have you that you would suggest in terms of formulating a strategy to invest in those companies? Or how to get started, I guess that's my question. I mean, how should I get started? Or particularly as it pertains to choosing and selecting those great companies. I mean, obviously there are a lot of good companies out there, but in terms of the long-term aspect, because we know in the stock market, some companies, they start off well, but they flop or they go bankrupt, and, really being able to strategically look long-term by investing in those companies. So what suggestions do you have, or what recommendations in terms of selecting those companies that you anticipate or that I can anticipate will be around for the next 30 years or so?
So the strategy I would say is to start with your, start by obviously there's a lot of great companies, right? But one thing I say is, if I were to ask you right now, if you were to invest in if you had one fantasy draft pick and it was the number 1 pick, and you had one company to invest in, what would it be?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I would say Apple at this point.
You would say Apple, right? So you start there. Okay, you say, hey, that's the number 1. And so I would say, hey, I want you to pick 5 companies that, if these are your top 5 picks in this fantasy stock draft to build your fantasy team for the next 20 years to win Super Bowls, what 5 companies would they be? Because here's the thing, if I ask you that, right, you're not going to think about some of these fly-by-night companies. You're not going to think about a company that's not going to help you win the Super Bowl. You're going to think about some companies that have a track record. You're going to think about some companies that are rock solid. You're going to think about some companies that can help you build your financial house, right? Mm-hmm. So once you get there, then you can really, it's really all about building a portfolio. Once you have your foundation set, then you can start to think about a little bit more riskier plays, so to speak, to say that, hey, even though this company doesn't have necessarily the track record, I believe that they're growing and they're going to still be around. They're going to continue to grow. That's a little bit harder, but you don't put all of your eggs there. You just put, if you decide to do that, you're going to put a small amount of your capital into those riskier companies to see if they actually hit for you. So, but you're going to put most of your capital into your rock solid companies because these are your top 5 picks, top 4 picks. That makes sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. No, it's good.
So yeah, that's why I mean it's all about building the portfolio. It's all about risk. And you know, Apple obviously is the number one company in the world. If they go down, the whole stock market is going down. So I ride the Titanic. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
no
saying?
doubt.
And then there's other companies that are out there just similar, just depending on your interest, right? You might not be, they may not be tech children. They might be in the arts. They might be into, I don't know, whatever, right? And them being into those, you know, there's different arenas. There are industry leaders in each one of those arenas. So find out what their interests are, and then find out the industry leaders that are related to their interests. And then that could be another place for you to start as well. You can start to have that conversation. Well, hey, I know that you like Wendy's, right? But what about McDonald's? And what about Chipotle? What about, you know, these other restaurants that might be around? But you can really tailor. They're industry leaders for every industry. And I don't know what every industry leader is, but that's kind of easy to find out. You can go to Bloomberg.com and find out industry leaders for whatever sector that you might be interested in or they may be interested in. And you can really start to help evolve their minds and thinking about these other companies and what they offer, what they provide, and things that they may not even know because they only know what they're exposed to. And so that could be a way to expose them to some different cultures as well. It could be an industry leader that's in China. And that might open up their eyes or open up their interest into learning a little bit about China, Chinese, or whatever that company does as well.
No, that's great. No, I agree. Okay.
So, but yeah, so just think about you know. So I got Raz Rising down here said top 5: Apple, Coke, Johnson & Johnson, McDonald's, and Tesla. That's his top 5. Your top 5 may be different. You know, obviously we all think differently and things like that, but you know, start there and then build from there because you're gonna be building it up over time. You know, it's gonna be $20 here, $100 here, $500 here, but that little bit amount, as we just showed, $5,000 turned to 6.5 million in 30 years. So, you know, I'm sure, you know, if people can squeeze out a Starbucks coffee every week, they can squeeze out some money to invest in their kids to at least give them the opportunity. It's not a guarantee, but at least give them the opportunity to be in a better financial situation when they get ready to make financial decisions.
No, I agree. No, I agree wholeheartedly. Like I said, I just wanted to ask that question. So no, I appreciate the advisement and the suggestions on that. But yeah, great job though. Great job. I just want to tell you, just great job. I think, you know, doing this is very important. I think, particularly as it pertains to, particularly us as African Americans, I would say, you know, it's so important that we need to really start educating our children and getting them started early on asset building, wealth creation, as you mentioned. So, no, I got to really commend you for that. So it's a great job. Great content.
Thanks, sir. Well, absolutely. Are you on here often?
No, actually, I had gotten invited by someone, and this is my first time listening to your blab.
Okay, cool, man. Well, we try to do this on Tuesdays. I'm gonna kick it back up in January.
But I'll definitely tag you on Facebook, though. Definitely, I see you on Facebook, so yeah, I'll definitely be following you on Twitter. Because I think the key too is also being with like-minded people. You know,
absolutely.
I know that's. You probably, you know, you being conscious and aware of things, and I think when like-minded spirits are together, it helps. It keeps everyone motivated. Keeps you inspired to continue to achieve those goals and objectives that you have, and, you know, fulfill your purpose, you know, on this earth. So that's great.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's why we do it. We got a group, and we put the information out to see we got people that are joining, and these are like-minded people, man. Everyone isn't talking about money.
That's right.
A lot of people are scared to talk about it. I'm not scared to talk about it. I talk about it with anybody. You know, but
and a lot of people and a lot of people don't want to hear it. They don't. I mean, when you start talking about money, a lot of people shy away from it. They say, "I don't want to hear about that." Right now. No, seriously. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is. We've been conditioned to, you know, we've been conditioned. And so we're trying to break the mold and do some reprogram and really make sure that we do our best to you know. That's why I focus on the kids, because I know that adults have they're no longer sponges, most of us.
Yes.
So, but the kids, if I can get to them, then hopefully I can get to the adults through the kids, and we can really start making a difference in our community.
Absolutely. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and get off. I don't know if someone else wanted to come on and ask any questions, but that's all the question I had, Evan.
All right, thanks, Randy. Well, I checked you up. I'm following you. Connect with me on Facebook as well, and we'll stay connected, man. Like-minded people, man. That's what we do.
Absolutely. Okay. Take care.
Right. No problem. Thank you.
All right.
All right, guys. That is what's up. I see we have some stuff going on the side. That is my time. So if we don't have, I know that Parrish, you were asking questions. We're gonna have to get to your questions. I'm gonna come back to you're gonna ask those questions the next time we meet. So I'll come back to those. But that's it, man. That's what we do. It is recorded, so I'll put the link up for people to kind of check out later once it uploads. But thanks for your time tonight. This is Ticker Talk Tuesday. Taking some time out to make a difference, man. That's the decision that I made, and I wanted to be making a difference, and that's just what it is. So I'll take the time to make a difference. Hopefully, it makes an impact in your life, and we can start to see the fruits of this difference in not only your life but your children's life as well. Well, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful evening. I look forward to meeting up with you guys soon. You guys have a good night.